All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Hope everybody had a great week. I'm excited to talk some baseball in for our man Ham, talking with Matt. 12-game slate, so not much time to waste. 7:05 Eastern start time and no weather to worry about. Lineups will be trickling in. Of course, we will share SaberSim to start for the pitching segment and go to the Stone, which you can find under the MLB tab after that to break down each stacks. 12 games is a lot. No weather is nice. Pitching, though, not great by any means. So throw it to Matt first before we dive into the slate. How we doing, Matt? Excited to talk some ball with you.
Yeah, man, feels good to get back on here with you. Been a minute. Last time we talked was like middle/end of the NBA season. So a lot has changed. My Cavs have embarrassed themselves again in the playoffs. Talks of Giannis continue. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, deep in the MLB streets. Luckily, or good for me, the guards are awesome. And they play in probably the worst division in baseball. So excited for the summer of baseball in Cleveland. I think we got a good young squad. As far as tonight's slate goes, I think you said it best. Fun slate. Pitching leaves a lot to be desired. That's probably putting it mildly. A bunch of good offenses, though. Like quite a few teams on like normal medium-sized slates would be top overall stacks type of slate. So should be fun breaking it down with you, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we talked about your Cavs. I remember they never get the job done when it's all said and done. There's Wardo, though. They're not good enough to compete. We'll see about the Knicks. It's going to be a lot of fun with them. A lot of rest against the Wemby or SGA. What a series that's been. I'm excited for Game 7. Definitely excited DFS side of things. Shout out to our man Little Neck, has done a phenomenal job in the NBA streets. Showdown. He has a slate plan. The tower that he always does there. MLB going on, of course, MMA, NASCAR, NHL, PGA, so many sports. Actually, that's a great time to segue and share this tab quick. As you can see, the best deal what we got going on right now, usually $99. All of those sports, all access, SaberSim and the Discord. You can get as low as $49 for your first month. If you want to check us out for cheaper, bottom left, join the nation. You can get in for $19 for 5 days. Also gets you Discord and SaberSim access to everything up above. If you're just playing MLB all summer, we do have single sport packages as well. Single sport MLB, less than $1 a day. You can get in just $20 more. Gets you access to SaberSim, which we're going to hop right over and share. Got to say hi to people before we break down this slate. What's going on, Hart? The first one in here. Wins a lot. Ricky, Coach Sav, Michael. Yep, good to see you. Jordan, great to see you as well. Been a little bit excited. A lot of familiar faces. Warren in here. Pierre hit the Benjamin. Things you love to see. Anthony. William. Hope everybody out there doing great. Again, like button. All we ask. 12 games. And like I said, the first thing that stands out, sorting by salary for pitching, 16.15 projected points is Zach Wheeler projected for the average of Ship Nation and SaberSim. George Kirby, we have it leading the slate at 8.8K. But as you can see, none of these guys are really going, like, with no pitcher projected over 17 on a 12-game slate. That is unusual, and I think that just really opens the slate up in terms of what you can do. Just a quick looking at hitting for team stacks. San Francisco right here in Coors Field, the highest implied runs, and then the Yankees. So I actually think this is one of those slates where, like, San Fran and the Yankees is so much more popular maybe than, like, any other pitcher. You could play like the two chalkiest pitchers or whatever. But if you're playing a different stack, not name those two, that's a way to get different. So I'll let you any broad slate if you want to talk, but then pitching 8K, Justin Robleski all the way up to Zach Wheeler 10-3. How do you see it?
That's an interesting take on it. Like a perspective I've never really had. That like the two
so
offenses,
rare.
It's rare. And I don't disagree with you. Either way, I think it'll be similar. Like we're not going to see normal ownership where like the highest owned or the two highest owned pitchers are much higher owned than anything else on the slate. I think you're right. I do think, like, as always, ownership will probably get a little bit more concentrated at pitcher, like with Kirby, who you mentioned, who projects, at the top or near the top, no matter where you look. At home, obviously you like him, but to your point, like, Arizona's been awesome lately. Ketel Marte's been the best hitter in baseball over the past week or so. Like, this offense, obviously, we know is good. And Kirby, it's not like he's been that elite recently or this year. He's been good, and we know who he is, and I like him here. But it's more like a war of attrition why I like him, because I don't really love anyone else. So that kind of goes into your point. I think that, 8K up, there are a bunch of good arms on this slate. The problem is they're not in great spots. The guys you want to use are a little bit priced up. Like Wheeler is awesome, one of the best pitchers in baseball, but you're paying full freight for him in the toughest spot in baseball in LA against the Dodgers. So I get using Wheeler on merit alone, even if he doesn't project great, because he's that good. And, good pitching, if he's on his best today and has his best stuff, he'll be able to get through any lineup, because that's usually how baseball works. But I think his floor is a lot lower than normal. Meyer, big sticker shock seeing him at 9,800. He's been phenomenal, though. So I understand playing him. Peralta and Kirby, to me, look like the top two arms when, like, combining floor and ceiling. But to, like, your point about why the Giants and Yankees are going to get more ownership is I don't feel strongly about that. And I don't think the field does either. And there are enough other options between Meyer and Wheeler and Gore and Imanaga that I think you're right. I don't think ownership on any pitcher gets too crazy. My favorite two expensive guys, I think, are Kirby and Peralta. But again, I do not feel strongly about it. How do you see it?
I don't feel too strong either. I think Meyer's my favorite at 9.8K. Wheeler's just, the matchup is so tough against the Dodgers. That's something I hardly go to with being the highest price on the slate. But if I'm playing 20 teams, though, by no means am I Xing Wheeler. And to be honest, I'm almost Xing no pitchers. Like, I'm almost focusing on my bats. Even if you just think the Giants and the Yankees, which will be the two highest owned, if you're like, all right, I'm just going to go all in on them, you could have a pitching pool of 10 and mix and match a bunch of different pitchers and just jam the Giants and the Yankees, which I don't hate that idea on a slate like this, but I don't have a great lean on pitcher. The Mets have not been very good. Meyer's been great. The sticker shock, like 17%, if that's what he is, he's my favorite pitcher to go on the board. Kirby feels on a slate where no one's projected over 17. Like, I feel almost the safest that he gets me 17 points, but I don't think he's
the highest owned too.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I don't think he's getting me like 28 points, though, which I don't think it's the slate you needed. On some 12-game slates, you do. Would I be surprised if two pitchers today go above 25? No, but he's safe. But yeah, with the ownership, like you're talking about, a little scared there. So I think I'd rather just go Freddie and hope it's a pitching duel with him and Meyer. But I do think he's going to be a little bit lower owned, Will Freddie, than George Kirby in that range. Mackenzie Gore, he has upside, but definitely has some downside as well. And that's really what I'm looking at in the upper range. Let's go to the bottom range quick, and then we can kind of combine them. But Carlos Rodon's the main one we got to talk about. Him and George Kirby, probably the chalk pairing to allow you to get some Giants and Yankees, or at least spend ups. But I do think Rodon gets a decent bit of ownership. It's a little scary because I think some of these A's bats are interesting too. I mean, what Rodon do we get is the biggest question. But any take on Rodon at pretty high ownership, and then other value you're looking at?
No, I think the price seems too cheap on a slate where we don't love the pitching options. But I'm with you. Like, I don't feel warm and fuzzy about it. And I think that you could definitely use a couple A's bats against him, whether it's just because of the matchup or leverage or both. I don't think ownership is going to be crazy on any of these guys. I wouldn't be surprised if Rodon and Kirby ends up being like the chalky pairing. I also wouldn't be surprised if like Peralta is in that mix, even Meyer, considering how good he's been. So yeah, Rodon looks like the best option under 8K for sure. He's just too cheap. When you look at like the guys around him, he's clearly the guy you want to play there. And I have no argument with it. I mean, we're looking at a slate without good pitcher projections. He's a known commodity, even though he hasn't pitched much this year. And he's cheap. So makes sense to me, even though, like I said, like you said, we like a couple bats against him. You made a comment in passing about, would you be surprised if two pitchers scored 25 plus on this slate? And I've been thinking about this, like, even before we got on the show. Just because, like, I wonder what the betting line would be, honestly, of how many pitchers score over. I was thinking like 22, but let's say 25 here on a slate with no pitcher projecting over 17, as you've mentioned, but it's baseball and there are 24 pitchers going tonight. Like, we know that weird stuff. So it's not even weird stuff. Random stuff happens in every game, every night in baseball. So I wonder what that line would be. Like, how many pitchers do we expect to go over? Let's say 20 tonight. I'm going to say probably 3 or 4.
Over 20. Yeah, I think 3.5 would be a solid line. I'd set it there. 25, to your original thing, if two pitchers get 25 plus, yeah, one or like a percentage that two pitchers on this slate do, I would say it's probably like 25%, and that might be a little generous. Like, I think if two pitchers or more get 25 plus, it'd be like 25%. But I do think 3 or 4 maybe get 20 plus. Is there other guys in this lower range? And I guess 4 pitchers could score over 20, but let's say it's these top 4, 9K and above, and you get like a 7K arm gets you 16. It doesn't mean that that 20 is on the winner because of the pricing that we play. But do you think there's guys trying to look like a Nick Martinez against the – okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just a couple other names that I was just trying to, like, Zach Gallen has an okay projection. Nick Martinez, if you're really going low, like Trevor Rogers is a full punt. Not sure we exactly need it, but other arms that we can get to on this slate that's in the lower tier.
Yeah, so there's 3 guys. So Nick Martinez is interesting just because it's the Angels and they're so bad against right-handed pitching, but I'm not buying it with Martinez, and like, he's an average arm. I think you're just playing the matchup there, which is okay to do on this slate. But I think there are better options elsewhere, cheaper options elsewhere, I should say. One is Severino, direct leverage against the Yankees chalk. He's not a gas can. Like, people are going to the Yankees because it's the Yankees in this ballpark. And like, Severino isn't great anymore by any means, but he's not a gas can at all. Like, last start or the start before against the Angels, who I just talked about, he was like the highest owned pitcher on the slate. And he had 10 Ks, I think. So, yeah, I think Severino's in play for sure. And the other guy, which I don't think you're going to hear many people talk about today, that I think is actually in play, if nothing else, is Brian Bello at 5,500 for a couple reasons. So you talked about just how bad the pitching projections are today. So in that case, on one hand, you could say, why not just spend down? And I would understand that line of reasoning. Bello himself has been atrocious this year, but he's been much better when following an opener. And baseball is a weird game. There might not be something to that, and maybe that's just outlier performances, but there might actually be something to it. I know last start he followed an opener and was decent, not great. The start before, he did not follow an opener, I'm pretty sure, and got shelled. And the 2 before that, he followed an opener and was really good. And every start before that was awful because he started the game. Or not because he started the game. He started the game and then he was awful. So I think he's interesting at a dirt cheap $5,500 price tag.
Okay. I mean, last time, I don't know if this was the last time we were on the show, but shows how long it's been. Sandy Alcantara, back when he was like 7% owned, a complete game you threw.
Oh, man. I know that was like way early on in the year.
Way early, like the first week or something. But I mean, I'm not going to, and I was not chirping it, but a little bit. I wasn't necessarily on the same page. So I'm biting my tongue to say anything about Bello, and I'll let the people reap the benefits. He's also really cheap, so and going to be super low owned. So taking
he probably stinks. Like, he probably stinks tonight because he hasn't been good. I don't mind the Guardians lineup, but he's so cheap on a slate where we don't like pitching. That's all it is. And I think there might be something to him following an opener. Now, to that point, it's not like even last start, it's not like he was great following an opener, but at that price tag, just worth a mention. All I'm saying.
100%. Couple things. Any take on? So Warren Tyler's asking about Stephen Kolek, and then we had William asking about Crowe and Melton. So do you have any takes on those 3?
I think my favorite of that bunch is Melton. I think it's just the unknown there. I don't know how much I want to be picking on the White Sox offense right now, and you're paying for Melton, so that's my big problem there. Crowe, you're not paying for, but man, Houston's been good, and like they got
Rodon's
guys back.
been
Amazing. Yeah. He's been the best hitter in baseball so far this year. So yeah, I'm not going out of my way to pick on Houston, even though they are very right-handed heavy. Crowe's in play just because there's the unknown with him, and he's cheap enough where I think you could consider him. And then Kolek, I'm not really buying it. Coming off probably the best start of his career. I know he was good to start before that too. Maybe it's a flaw in my game that I'm not buying what Kolek's selling, but I'm not paying $8,400 for him coming off, again, the complete nut performance that he'll probably ever have.
Yeah, if I'm playing probably any three of those guys, I'm probably just playing the Giants. And like that's where I'm getting different is one of those three pitchers because they're all grading out as sub 10%. And the projections off of the top guys, it's not crazy. Like if there was a slate to play a no-namer or just a random 3% pitcher, I think this is the slate to do it since opportunity cost is lower than we're seeing on most slates. I like the Severino call, though, for the direct leverage in that lower tier. And I'm in on Trevor Rogers. That was the last thing I was going to ask you about. Lone Wolf talked about like his last year's numbers were absolutely insane. I believe it was last year, 2 years. Yeah, I think it was last year versus, I mean, it's been bad this year. But we play daily fantasy. So at what is he, 6K flat? I think you could do worse on this slate.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I just talked about Brian Bello, so who am I to argue with Trevor Rogers, I'll say this. I do think he's due for a little bit of positive regression. Like, his expected ERA is not good. Like, 4.5 expected is not good, but it's way better than his 7 ERA. You know what I'm saying? So, like, some positive regression.
That's a big difference.
Huge difference. So, I don't love the spot for him. And personally, I think I'd rather play Bello where the field is on Rogers. But I don't think the field is like on Rogers enough where that would get me off him or anything. I don't know. I get it. I just don't know if I'm personally going to be on it. But to your other point before about how you would just play the Giants like with any of those three guys, the Meltons and the other two guys you asked me about, I think that's totally valid on this slate. And I think how you put it, like just loading up, if you think those offenses are just worth that much and then just rotating the pitchers in that sense, I think every pitcher on the slate is in play in tournaments.
100%. And I wouldn't necessarily do that because I think we've seen a lot of winning lineups in baseball this year, especially with how top heavy a lot of these tournaments are and how much variance. Like you can get different at pitching and bats. It was, I think, like lucky guesses last week or something. Like he might have had a 0.5% owned pitcher that got like 7, and every single person in the stack was like
exactly what you're talking about,
like sub 5%. So this is one of the few sports, like if you're playing NBA and every single one of your guys is under 20% on a 7-game slate, you're donating essentially. You can have every single player be under 5% owned, pitcher included on this 12-game slate. And still the lineup like grade out as plus EV or get to the top. I'm not necessarily recommending that, but you don't need to. Just because you get different at pitching, don't feel the need to just jam in chalk bats. Like you can definitely go to the lower owned stacks.
Yep, I remember that exact slate too. I thought that was a little bit wild. But,
yeah, I did too. But
God,
100 G's.
Yeah. God, it might have been the White Sox because they were uber expensive. I can't remember, but I definitely noticed that when like reviewing it. Really low owned stack, really low owned pitchers. Like the pitcher wasn't even good. I can't remember. But like pitching on that slate wasn't good in general. And man, I think that was a really, really good point to bring up. Thank you.
Yeah, phone's being a little slow now, so I'll have to find it. But it was like direct leverage off of DeGrom, maybe it was, or some like chalk pitcher that he got direct leverage off of.
That was actually it because it was DeGrom against the Angels.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
It was. I can't remember who he started at pitcher, but that was what a good call. And like that's MLB for you. Like expect the unexpected, where it's very difficult to project. So to that point, like, if you're going to look at it like that, anything's in play. We try to narrow it down the best we can,
Yeah. There you go. Awesome stuff, Lone Wolf. Yeah, we do our best to narrow it down, but that's why we kind of want to preach like process and finding when you're making multiple teams and just being uncomfortable. Portfolio, building a portfolio. You can, if you build 4 teams, like 3 teams can be completely against that. That's why you see bubbles sometimes. A lot of bubbles on the left side, missing cash. You have 1 bubble in the green. It's all the way on the right. With all the money up top nowadays, that is all you're playing for. So to wrap up pitching, my favorite pitchers, it'd be a lot bigger pitching pool than I usually would have, but it would be Max Meyer, and then it would be, I think I'm going to go Mackenzie Gore and take on the risk there. Meyer, Gore, Kirby, Peralta is how I have it. But again, my favorite down below would be Trevor Rogers, and I definitely would mix him in. Rodon's the scary one for me. If he is going to be the second highest owned, which I think he probably is, I'm a little worried about that and have an interest in the A's. Top 3 pitchers for you before you go talk some bats?
I'll go Kirby 1. I'll go Peralta 2. I'll go Meyer 3. But man, like, and this kind of touches on what Newens asked a little bit ago, like on a slate where pitching projections are so bunched together, would I be more inclined to pay up for safety because there's so many teams to choose from bats wise? I think that's another way to skin the cat for sure. And usually that's how I play because that's just how I like to play. I don't know if that's the way I'm going to play tonight or if that's the right strategy in general. Obviously, every slate is different. I only say that because, like tonight, we might feel safer with like Kirby and Peralta and Meyer, but like, I don't feel like none of these guys are like, I think it's baseball. Like we just talked about with DeGrom. I don't feel like amazing about any of them.
No.
And they're all expensive and highly owned. So like in that sense, I'm kind of inclined to just like not play any of them and play anyone else at the same token or on the same token. However, I don't like really anyone else. So you got to play 2 pitchers. And honestly, a guy that I think falls through the cracks that I might be more interested in than the field is Wheeler. Just because of his talent. Everything you said is true. He's way expensive and he's in such an awful spot. But we don't like any pitchers on this slate, and he's not going to be as highly owned as the other guys. And he's better than the other guys, just in a tougher spot. So kind of just like talking out loud about it, like selling myself, but he's in play for me for sure.
Yeah, I can't argue that by any means. The most expensive pitcher, have a lot of money on this slate, though. The best real life pitcher, it's just obviously a really tough matchup. I think it's also a slate. I'm not going to pull up our tools over here. I'm going to keep them behind the paywall, but MLB pitcher rankings, definitely I think a good slate when it's really tough to navigate and a lot of close stuff to see where our pitcher rankings are at is important. And we will go and share the stone right here so you can see the pitcher rankings, hitter rankings, everything, what side they bat from, the pricing, projections on FanDuel, DraftKings, their ownership, everything you need, one-stop shop on the stone, which we are showing off now because we were about to talk some bats. So appreciate, again, everyone hanging out. Taco misses the chandelier. Yeah, that is long gone. I see my man, Jake. Hope you're doing well. Newens, and actually this was water, but yeah, usually got the protein, always chugging. Lone Wolf, I meant to answer this. I am not staying up for the fights. Having a little one in my life changes things. Back in the day, I was always at the boys' house, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., you name the start. I was up watching, but life has changed a bit. So hopefully I have a sweat when I wake up. All right, let's break down the first game of the slate, the Baltimore Orioles and the Toronto Blue Jays. Trevor Rogers, Austin Voth on the mound. Not too big of a run total on both sides, which will lead to very low ownership on both sides. So I'll throw it to you, though. 2 people in the pitcher rankings that are very low. So any interest in bats on either side?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not interested in Baltimore. I'm not interested in the Blue Jays pitching because it's, I think, more of a bullpen game than anything else. I'm not really interested in Baltimore. I am interested in Toronto, though, against Rogers, who, even though I think is due for some positive regression, still hasn't been good. And again, it's not like his expected stuff is good. It's just better than it has been. So I like this Toronto lineup. You got McAdoo in there hitting 6th, who is raking in the minors. He's cheap. They're going to get no ownership. And this is going to kind of be a trend on this slate because I'm in total agreement with you that outside of the Giants and Yankees, Like those two teams are going to generate and garner so much ownership. And I tried to tell myself earlier in the day, like when I first opened the slate, the Giants might not be that highly owned because people don't love playing them, but they will be because they're so cheap and they're in cores. So it's the Giants and Yankees and then everyone else. And I think the Blue Jays are a good stack in that everyone else group. I like their lineup today. They're cheap. They have upside. I don't know if I'm personally going to play them because I'm not max entering. If I were playing 150, though, I'd be over the field.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all. I would definitely play some Blue Jays as well. Are they my favorite stack? No, but I do like guaranteed ninth inning at bats. You get a catcher in the 9 hole to use a wraparound that's pretty cheap to make things work. I mainly would focus though on 1 through 6 and then 9. I don't love Straw.
I never play Straw.
Yeah, or Penango.
I will say about Penango though, like he's really good, or he's good. I don't want to say really good. He's down there because it's left on left. So like I wouldn't play him as a one-off, but if I were stacking, I'd be fine with him personally. Straw though, I can see just not playing at all.
All right, I like it. I like those little the tidbits there. So yeah, pretty much everyone in play then except Straw in the 7th spot. Don't hate it, don't love it. Again, 12 games on the slate. If you're only playing a handful of teams, you have to be a little more picky. I do think the Rays could be a little interesting, though, even if playing only a handful of teams. They're taking on the Angels, Nick Martinez, Walbert, Urena on the mound. This is looking at the hitter rankings, Aranda, Caminero, both grade out very well. Yandy Diaz a little bit as well. One thing that's tough, you can play Diaz, Aranda, and Vlade, but first base. Two of them do have other dual eligibility. This lineup also has 2 second basemen. So it's not the easiest to stack position-wise, but outside of Caminero at $5K, it is very cheap. If you want to double spend that pitcher, ownership's in check as well. Urania doesn't miss many bats. I'm going to play, I think, a little of the Rays. I think they are up there, probably in the top 5 of my favorite stacks. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing about their lineup, which still continues, is you can't play their top 3 altogether because you got the first and third and then just the first and third for the other two. That, like, I hate that, honestly. Like, if I wanted to go all in on the Rays, that wouldn't stop me. But that is a detractor for sure, for me, for them. And I respect Urania enough where I don't really want to stack the Rays here on such a big slate. It's more to the fact that you got to be picky tonight. So, like, there are only, I'm only playing 3 lineups. So, like, I only have so many roster spots, so many teams I can stack. The Rays are unlikely to be one of them. I just mentioned how much I like Toronto. I don't even think they'll be one of them. So I don't like Tampa as much, even though they've been amazing against right-handed pitching this year. It wouldn't shock me at all if they won the slate. But I could say that about 15 teams tonight,
For sure. I like the Rays, I think, a little more than you, but they're not in my top 3. I'd probably put them right around 5. Next game, Boston Red Sox and the Cleveland Guardians. Slate, Sessione, Brian Bello on the mound. Again, 2 pitchers that don't grade out too well in the rankings, pitcher rankings. I don't love either as like a 5-man stack, but I do think Jose Ramirez is an elite one-off, and I think Duran is a elite one-off. So both sides, Duran's still way too cheap at 4.5K. I don't see myself 5-manning either side, though. Do you see yourself doing that?
No, I don't. Real quick, though, I just had to shout out the Angels from the game before because we skipped them so easily. And I just had to say, like, Nick Martinez, he's a guy that I think is due for some negative regression. And I do not hate playing like the Zach Netto's, Mike Trouts of the world as a mini stacker as one-offs. Just had to throw that out there. From the Boston-Cleveland game, this is a good example of what I talked about earlier, where on a lot of slates, teams that are kind of falling through the cracks might be top stacks. And this is a good example. Both teams. Bello's been awful. Ciccone stinks. So the Red Sox and Guards look good in this spot. It's just they don't look as good as the Yankees or Giants, and there are other teams that I think are on their level. I think to your point, it's probably best to play it with one-offs or mini stacks. J-Ram, obviously. Bazzana's been amazing. I love Bazzana leading off for the Guardians, but you get that first at-bat lefty on lefty, which stinks. If I'm stacking them, I'm definitely using Bazzana, but maybe off him as a one-off. J-Ram, you can play in any scenario. And then the Boston side, I almost like them more as a full stack. Ciccone is not someone that I'm afraid to pick on at all. Boston's lineup has been better lately, and you've got good weather in Cleveland. So I could get on board with the Red Sox stack. I could get on board with Cleveland also. I think I just like the Sox a little bit more here.
I like how Cleveland's throwing 8 of their 9 lefties at like switch hitting or lefties. Rhys Hoskins only righty, which I guess makes it a little tougher on Bello. But oh man, is Mons been getting hit for? Monserrato been getting pinch hit for as much when lefties come in out of the pen like he was years prior?
Yeah, he'll get pinch hit for late, but it helps obviously if Hoskins in the lineup with him.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see the 5-man stack as much, but it makes sense. Like Duran and Ramirez are elite there. You said you had a little interest in a 5-man Red Sox stack, but yeah, on a 12-game slate, we're going to need crooked numbers from one of these, from whoever you are stacking with 24 teams on the slate. Marlins, Mets, Max Meyer, Freddie Peralta. I mean, number 1 is Freddie in our rankings. Number 8 is Meyer. We had interest in both pitchers. Very low total, the lowest on the slate, I believe. I'm not getting to bats. I think there's other ways to get different, but it is baseball. Anything can happen. I don't think Freddie or Meyer even get enough individual ownership to make it worth trying to get the leverage against. Do you agree or disagree?
Totally agree. I was going to say this is like the lucky guesses play, but it's not even because you got all that leverage against DeGrom on that slate. So, like, I'm with you. This is just a cross-off from offenses. Juan Soto, always in play, but other than that, I'm good.
All right, next game on the slate, Chicago Cubs and the St. Louis Cardinals. Shoto Imanaga, Andre Palante on the mound. We had a question, is this the bounce back for Imanaga? Man, did he get hit around last time out? The Cardinals, the problem is that's like never a team that I play. We didn't really talk about Imanaga much in terms of pitching, but because of the matchup and going against the Cardinals, I think I'm fine with it. Again, I'm fine with a larger pool at pitching than usual. As far as the Cubs, though, I'll let you talk about the Cubs. It's a lineup that I've stacked quite a bit this year for DFS. They do have 2 catchers in the projected order. I'm not seeing a full order right now, but they're the opposite of the Rays in terms of like it's easy to stack them positional wise. You can get a second base, you can get shortstop in the 9-hole, third base Bregman, Bush, PCA. Like it fits well in the middle infield in the top half of the order. So any Cubs for you?
That's a really good point. And a part of the reason I also stack them a lot because they're easy to roster. Their price tags are usually affordable and they fit good positions. Kind of similar to the Royals, who we'll get to in a little bit. But yeah, I'm in on the Cubs here. I wrote this in the slate plan. These Cardinals pitchers are all due for major regression. McGreevy, Liberatore, and Leahy. We've seen it with the other 2 recently, and I think it's coming for Leahy. The Cubs, fresh off like a 10 or 11 game losing streak, have won a couple in a row. Got to Skeens yesterday, got to the bullpen, a day after they got to Bubba Chandler. Now they're stepping into a spot against Kyle Leahy, who I think is just not very good and has pitched over his head. And the Cubs aren't going to get much ownership because no one's going to get much ownership besides the Giants or Yankees. So I like them. They're right with Toronto for me as like one of the best stacks in that other group. We'll talk about some others though. So again, as much as I'm endorsing Chicago, like there are other stacks I like too, and you got to be real picky on slates like this. So they're definitely in play for me. I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, I'm definitely jamming the Cubs though, because again, there are other stacks that look just as good.
Yeah, I agree. I'm definitely going to play some Cubs. Like I talked about, the ease of the positions. Palante doesn't miss any bats, so the balls will be in play. So a little stolen base upside.
It's not even Palante. It's Leahy, who's worse, way worse.
I think it is Palante, isn't it?
I think it was originally going to be Palante, but I think he got oh, wait. You know what? I'm saying Palante now. That's interesting. It was originally Palante, and then it went to Leahy. It might be back to Palante now, though. So
I'm seeing Palante.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
Does that make you like him a little less? I mean, like he can keep the ball on the ground. He doesn't miss bats, but it makes you like him less.
It does, just because I don't think he's as bad as Leahy. Like he doesn't miss bats. I think you can pick on him, but he's not someone I'm actively trying to pick on like I am Leahy. Is the best way I can put it.
Yeah, he's more serviceable. But man, balls will be in play. All right, this next game, I got interest on both sides, White Sox and the Tigers. Troy Melton, Eric Fetty on the mound, and Eric Fetty is more likely to be the long reliever. It looks like kind of another bullpen game for the White Sox. I mean, how do you not have interest in Murakami? The dude is just a complete stud. Troy Melton gets hit a lot harder on the left side of the plate. Colson Montgomery as well, third base and shortstop eligible. Definitely have interest. More mini stacks probably for the White Sox, but yeah. The lefties look pretty good. On the Tigers side, Eric Fetty is someone that I've picked on quite a bit. He is for many of years now. I think the Tigers probably, and when we're talking sneaky stacks, probably up there as one of my favorites. I like this lineup, pretty much 1 through 9, guaranteed ninth inning at bats. And yeah, Fetty is no good. So I think this game's pretty sneaky.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I like both these teams. You mentioned the White Sox have been phenomenal lately. Melton is certainly a guy that we can pick on. It's kind of an unknown, but I don't expect much from him. And the White Sox have been awesome lately. So you mentioned their lefties. I'm in. The Tigers themselves. If this were a slate with like elite expensive pitching, I'd be more in on the Tigers. They're really cheap. They've got pinch hit risk here. Like, I think the White Sox are opening with a lefty, I'm pretty sure, correct?
Yep, correct.
So, is Detroit's lineup out?
I do not believe so, but let me do it literally came out 6 minutes ago. Oh, and It's confirmed now on the Stone. I just refreshed.
So they probably do they have one of their righties leading off? Like,
no, they got McConaughey.
Oh yeah, no, they got Jahmai Jones hitting third. So I would expect him to get pinch hit for literally after one at bat. So just know that if you're going in stacking the Tigers, because when Fetty comes in, they'll probably pinch hit Colt Keith for Jones there. So yeah, you get your one at bat. Maybe it's enough. I mean, in his first at bat, but
I wouldn't play him even if you want to 5-man the Tigers. I don't. One at bat's not enough. I don't care if you're $700 like they used to do Chris Davis on FanDuel.
That was hilarious, man.
Yeah. So your thoughts on the Tigers when comparing them to like the Rays, or now you don't like the Cubs as much, but in that second tier boat?
Yeah, I think they're right in line with the Cubs for me now. Like, I did have the Cubs higher, but I don't anymore. I like the Cubs. I like the Tigers. I think I like the Blue Jays more than either. Yeah, they're probably like right in line with the Rays for me. Just easier to roster. They do have a bunch of outfielders, but they're a lot cheaper. So you can fit really good pieces around them, which is always nice.
Absolutely. All right, we'll keep it rolling. Still plenty of games to talk about. The Royals and the Rangers. Kolek and Mackenzie Gore on the mound. This is not a game I see myself getting too much at all. I'm going to be on the Mackenzie Gore side, even though his range of outcomes is pretty wide as far as the Rangers. I mean, it's a 12-game slate. There's just the pricing is very similar to the Tigers we just talked about, and I'd much prefer the Tigers. So I'm going to pass in this game.
Yeah, I think I like this game more than the field does. More of like just a gut feel than anything else. I like this Royals lineup today. Gore is a pitcher that I like. He's talented, no doubt about it, but he's very volatile. You get this KC lineup away from home. I know that the ballpark in Kansas City plays much better for offense now, but they didn't play well in that series against New York, and now their lineup comes out here. You got like uber cheap Lane Thomas, who I expect to just stay in there leading off. Obviously, Whit Garcia. They're so inexpensive, and I think they have decent upside in this spot. So again, I'm not playing enough lineups where I'm likely to play them, but they're in consideration for me, especially now with the Cubs. Like, I just don't like the Cubs as much anymore. And it's slim margins on a slate like this. As you mentioned earlier, you got to be picky. So I don't know if I'm going to like sell my soul on the Royals here, but I might use a couple pieces here and there.
All right. Definitely will be really low owned. If you are playing the Giants or the Yankees, pairing them with like a Freddie Peralta. If you're eating chalk, I think getting the Royals as mini is a way to get different with your lineup for sure. But hard for me to get to anyone in that game. Brewers Astros, another very low owned game. K-Way, Tang, and Coleman Crowe on the mound. I mean, two pitchers that we really don't know too much about. Rodon, you can always play Rodon. I think he's a very elite one-off, 6,300. Don't see myself really five-man stacking the Astros too much after that. As far as the Brewers, I don't mind some of the lefties. Yelich leading off, Turang at second base, Jake Bauers, Garrett Mitchell. But they're not cheap by any means. I mean, 1 through 6, 4.2K or above. Not that salary's too tight on this slate, but yeah, I don't hate some of these Brewers, mainly the lefties. They have some pop. I don't know how much I want to five-man stack the Brewers, though. What are your thoughts on the Brewers versus the Rays versus the Royals versus the Tigers?
I think both teams fit like in that group just because of how good they are. Like Tang has been pretty good recently. So like I'm not excited to pick on the Brewers to pick on him with the Brewers. That said, like I like the Brewers offense. I'm not like, I don't know if Tang's going to be that good going forward. I don't think he will be. The Astros bullpen stinks. So I think there's a role for Milwaukee on this slate. You mentioned their price tags. That might be a detriment, but again, it's going to lower their ownership. So I'm interested in the Brewers here, even though like they're not the top stack on the board. They're in play. And then the Astros, even more of an unknown in Crowe. They're more of like a mini stack team for me. You talked about Alvarez. They got Taylor Trammell leading off. He's super cheap. So I think using a bat or two from Houston makes sense, but I'm probably good on five-man stacking them.
Yeah, Trammell might be a little popular. Like not too popular, but at 2,300 leading off. Him, Lane Thomas, two guys that people fill their lineups in for value if they need a last spot. And in GPPs, to be honest, I usually try to ignore players like that just people play them because they fill more so than they like them. But
who would you ignore? Who would you be not playing? Like if you had to play one of them, who would you play? I guess the best way to put it, Lane or Trammell?
Probably Lane Thomas. I play Lane literally way more than I want to admit in cash games this year. And he seems to somewhat get the job done. But I mean, it's the thing that's nice about both of them is you have Rodon and Bobby Witt hitting right behind you pretty shortly after. So just get on base
a little bit too, I think.
Yeah, they run a little bit and get on base. And even if you get a single, I mean, Rodon can pop one over. Bobby Witt obviously can as well. So that part's nice. But I'd probably go Lane Thomas. No strong lean.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Appreciate that. Delbert, yep, all of our MMA content will be up on the site shortly after me and Big Marley did our show yesterday. If anyone wants to check that out, 4 a.m. Eastern start time tomorrow in China. So good prizes. We'd love for you guys to get over. Let me go show that off one more time before we talk some Coors Field. This is the homepage at shippination.com. Our best deal going on right now. Usually $99, now $49. Gets you all of our sports above, including MMA. Also includes SaberSim and access to the Discord. If you want a cheaper option to check us out, bottom left, join the nation. Click on that. You can get in for $19 for 5 days. Again, includes NBA, PGA, MLB, MMA, NASCAR, and NHL all going on right now with SaberSim. And the Discord, if you're just playing MLB single sport, go down to MLB, less than $1 a day. You are able to get in, and SaberSim as well, just $20 more. They don't even offer single sport packages like that. So the best deal if you were just playing a single sport, we have options for you now to join. All right, let's get back to the stone and talk about the most popular game of the slate, and that is Coors Field, San Francisco Giants, Colorado Rockies, Logan Webb, Michael Lorenzen on the mound. I mean, just looking at this ownership is not something I love when we're talking baseball. That is very scary. It also just shows that, I mean, they're in their own tier. Like the Yankees at 5.3 runs, you actually had some holes to pick on to poke in them, and you like some Severino. So that means the Giants even seem more in a tier of their own. With that being said, it's baseball. Would anyone be surprised to see a 1-0 game? Nope, that happens. So do you plan on taking an overweight or underweight approach?
Well, I think that's a good way to break it down because I didn't think about it like that too much because I was focused on just other things. But yes, me personally, I think they are in a tier of their own over the Yankees. So if I'm playing a chalky offense tonight, it's definitely the Giants for me. That said, I do think the Giants are higher owned than the Yankees because they're cheaper. They're in cores. They're against Lorenzen, a worse pitcher. But to your point, I think they're in the much better spot. Like, I respect Severino as a pitcher. I can't say the same for Lorenzen. Giants, obviously, you get about as big as a park upgrade as you can get going from San Fran to Colorado. And they've been pretty good recently. Like, they started the season awful, but we know this lineup is talented. Like, it's not the Dodgers or the Yankees, but they got guys here. Willie Adames, Rafael Devers, Matt Chapman. Like, they got guys in their lineup. Bryce Eldridge raked in the minors. So, yeah, it's Casey Schmidt's having a phenomenal year. They're so cheap. The only guys over 5K are Devers and Schmidt, 5,100 and 5,200. You got like Chapman and Adames, low 4Ks, Gilbert, Bader, whoever their outfielders are, low 3Ks. Just a really easy team to stack and the best spot on the slate. I'll say this. If I don't use them, it's only because of ownership. I think they're definitely the best stack on the board.
Makes a lot of sense. So if you're playing 4 teams, what do you think? 2 of 4? That puts you overweight.
Yeah, 2 of 4, maybe 3 of 4, like maybe 1 of 4. You know what I'm saying? Like in this spot, like I could see just going heavy on it. That said, like ownership, it's such a big slate, and there are other really good spots that I like that are going to be so much lower owned. And as we talk about often, like getting to the top of tournaments is the goal. So like the easiest path is probably not playing the Giants. It's just a matter of how much better of a spot are they in. I'm not sure yet. You know what I mean?
For sure. Now, something I've always liked to do is play the other side, the lower owned side of Coors, which almost always is the Rockies. Now, it was a lot easier years ago with Arenado and Story and guys that Tulowitzki, like we're talking way back.
Actual good hitters.
Yeah. So it was a lot easier to do then. Granted, usually their ownership was a little higher. Now it's always feels like the past 3 years. Rockies are always still pretty low owned at Coors, and the other team, the away team, always seems underpriced and gets the ownership. Man, this lineup is gross, but on a slate where it's cool, on a slate I don't like much, their run total is still fine, and they get to play in Coors Field, which I'm a Coors Field slappy. Like, I just naturally have interest, but like, who would be the 5 hitters that I'm stacking or some of your favorites? And do you see yourself playing any Rockies more than just mini stacks?
I don't, but I think they're the most volatile stack on the slate. And what I mean by that is, if you told me they were like your 3rd favorite stack behind the Yankees and Dodgers, I couldn't argue it. If you told me they were like your 15th or 20th, I wouldn't argue it either, because you got Logan Webb on the hill and it's the Rockies. Logan Webb is an unknown right now, though. Coming off knee bursitis, wasn't particularly good prior to that, but I'm still a believer in his stuff. So I'm not going to go out of my way to pick on him with the Rockies, but neither is the field. You got great hitting weather in Coors. So, like, I definitely get it. I don't think I'm personally going to play it, but to say I don't understand the play would be, foolish. I clearly get it. On paper, they might be the top tournament stack on the board when you really look at the numbers.
Yeah, I like the Rockies more than the field for sure. If you're playing 4 teams, you play 1 5-man stack, that's a way. But yeah, I like it. Logan Webb 4Ks, how are we feeling? I'd be a little nervous there, but by no means do I consider myself a professional sports bettor, especially diving into strike up props. Yeah, that is the problem for sure. There's no doubt about that. But I'm hoping today they can get the job done a little bit against a beat-up Webb. All right, 3 games left. Yeah, 3 games left. The Yankees and the A's. Carlos Rodon, Luis Severino on the mound. I think the ownership might even be higher on the Yankees than we're showing right now. Judge and Grisham at the top. Like, when are they ever going to raise Trent Grisham's price? 3.5K leading off. I play him all the time. Another cash player over here. Play him all the time because he's free at the top of a good order. But Severino, he keeps the ball on the ground. You talked about he's not a gas can by any means. It's mainly the Yankees order with the park and guaranteed 9th inning at bats. But yeah, it sounds like you're going to be underweight Yankees. I think the A's are interesting. If Rodon is one of the most chalky pitchers on the slates, I always like playing Langoliers. Nick Kurtz is a monster. Brett Rooker's a beast. 1 through 5 looks pretty good. And then how can I argue a 2,500 catcher as well if you're not playing Langoliers. So I don't know about the two guys at the bottom of the order. I mean, they're cheap, but they look like kind of zeros to me. So yeah, what's your take on this interesting game?
Yeah, so the Yankees, I think you're right. I do think that maybe I'm downplaying how old they'll be. Maybe it is close to what the Giants are, just because outside of Judge and Rice, they're pretty cheap. Jazz is decently expensive, but nothing crazy. Grisham, obviously. Bellinger, they're more expensive than the Giants, which is why I think the Giants get more love. But the Yankees aren't like crazy expensive either. So, yeah, I am like where the field is on these teams. I'm more on the Giants, but I understand the Yankees love here. We get the appeal of going to this ballpark. You get Severino, who isn't a gas can, but he's also like not great either. So I get why the field is going here. I just personally think the Yankees are more in line with like the other stacks we've talked about, and they're going to be much higher owned. Like they'll be higher owned than everyone but the Giants by a good margin. So if I'm going to play a chalky stack, I'm going to play the Giants, but Saber loves the Yankees. Like they're giving me all Yankees. So I get it. And I do think that the field is going to be there. So fade them at your own risk, I guess.
Yeah, I like the Giants more as well, but if I'm just looking at this ownership, and it is true, like if the cards are flipped over and this is what we see, half the ownership of the Yankees and the Giants, then I would change my stance on that and take the Yankees at half the ownership. But I don't necessarily know if that holds true. I do think the Giants come in maybe similar to this, but I think the Yankees for the most of these guys come in a little higher than projected. But yeah, we will see. 2 games left, Diamondbacks and the Mariners, Zach Gallen and George Kirby on the mound. George Kirby is going to get ownership, so if you want to try and get some direct leverage, you talked about Ketel Marte from the top, has been great. Corbin Carroll, you can always play. I don't hate it, but man, it's a tough park to hit in. That is not something that I don't play too many stacks going out to Seattle. Mariners side against Gallen. They finally got Julio Rodriguez priced above $5K. I feel like he was 4 or 5 for like 4 weeks. Another guy was clicking every single day. I don't know. I don't love either stack personally. I don't, to be honest, love the last 4, the West Coast games. I'll be hoping that I'm sitting in first if playing tonight, going into these last games personally.
Yeah, same. Risky though, because especially with the
Coors
first. Yeah,
the Coors game's nervous, but these last 2 itself, I'm not too scared of.
I'm not either. But that said, like all 4 offenses here are good. Like the Seattle-Arizona game, I'm out on it as a full stack just because of the ballpark on this slate. Gallen, he's a pitcher I've really liked in years past. He seems on the edge of being washed now. A couple of decent starts back-to-back. Seattle's expensive now also. I can't get to them in this park. The Arizona side is more interesting because you get the leverage. That said, the only guys that interest me are Marte and Carroll. I think that mini stack is enough on this slate. There's so many good spots. I could see playing those 2 guys, even though they're expensive, just because of how good they are. That's probably it for me, though, except for if I were playing the late slate.
Yeah, I think those 2 are totally fine to play. Again, they're expensive, but you could argue they could even be more expensive for the upside they have.
Right.
Salary on this slate isn't too tight, and then you just don't play George Kirby. That's your direct leverage. Those 2 are enough than a full 5-man stack. So I don't hate it one bit. I think it is very interesting on this slate. We are going to the last game. Our man Lone Wolf says stack Philly. It is the Philadelphia Phillies and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Zach Wheeler, Justin Roblowski on the mound. Again, I respect Zach Wheeler enough where I don't think I want to play too many Yankees, but I also respect the Yankees where I don't see myself playing much Zach Wheeler. You did make a point at the end to play Wheeler and reasons that make sense. Pitching is bad. Salary doesn't mean much. Take the best arm on the slate and hope maybe 20 is enough and he gets you there. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't be shocked. But, man, this Dodgers lineup it's tough, and they're going to be throwing a decent amount of lefties at them. But, yeah, what are you doing in this one?
I think you could make the same case that I made for Wheeler for the Dodgers themselves also. I mean, it's the best lineup in baseball. Wheeler's really good, but if he doesn't have his best stuff, the Dodgers will make anyone pay. And they won't get any love because they're facing Wheeler and they're crazy expensive. And I probably won't play them, but neither side is going to get love because both sides are really good and expensive. But that doesn't mean that, like, the upside has disappeared for Wheeler or the Dodgers stack. It just means they're in tougher spots than normal. But one side is likely to be really good here. Both sides are expensive enough where you might not need it either way. My point on Wheeler is that he's the best actual pitcher on the slate, and we don't like any other pitchers, so why not have him in the pool? My point on the Dodgers is the same it always is. Like, their upside when they go off is so good for DFS purposes because they hit home runs. So I'm not going to stack them, but I'm aware of that on every slate. The Phillies, man, more interesting to me. Robleski is another one of these pitchers due for major regression. It started to happen. You get a pretty good ballpark for hitting home runs here, for hitting in general. A Phillies lineup that, all of a sudden, the top three with Trey Turner hitting, kind of like what I'm seeing. So those would be the three guys I'd be most interested in here is Turner and then the two big boppers and Harper and Schwarber. Problem is you get the left on left with those guys. So yeah, I'm probably out on full stacking either side of this game, but know that both sides are really good offenses and can break any slate they're on.
For sure. I always prefer when I stack the Phillies to go against the righty than I do against the lefty. But I mean, yeah, a lot of good points that chat's making about, how hot the Phillies are, some of the individual bats. So I don't hate it. I don't love it though on a 12-game slate. I will be hoping again, for the most part, outside of Coors, that these West Coast games bust and maybe get a low-owned East Coast game or an early start time that puts up a crooked number early. Appreciate it, Michael. Always fun hopping on, talking baseball. Great job, as always, Matt. Any final thoughts from you here? And then I want basketball, since you're a basketball guy as well. I want to know Game 7, your take, and then who wins the NBA Finals before we get on out here.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that earlier. Just kind of, I'll answer and throw it back to you if you think the Knicks actually have a shot. I kind of do, considering how the West has played out and the teams beating up on each other. I think OKC takes it at home. I think San Antonio, has obviously been awesome, and they can kind of use this as a growing experience, but OKC's been there and done that, and they're at home for Game 7. So OKC at home, and then, man, I've struggled with this because before the Cavs-Knicks series, I never would have said the Knicks or either team had a shot against the West, but considering how good the Knicks have been and how rested they are, I'm gonna say the Knicks. I think the Knicks win the title, and a lot of that also is how much OKC struggled with Indiana last year before Halliburton got hurt in Game 7. So give me the Knicks. I don't think OKC is as dominant as they were last year. How about you?
They're definitely beat up, no doubt about that. With Jalen Williams losing Mitchell is definitely big for him. Man, he was really good. I'm going OKC at home. I think it's going to be a dogfight. Like, Dylan Harper is a complete stud. It might have only been better when Fox was out and they had to run him more. I think OKC pulls through, very well coached. And then I'm not picking the Knicks. I do think OKC and SGA is too dominant when it's all said and done. But, man, like the Knicks, the Mitrab, what I love is just how versatile they can go with the Mitrab and Cat stuff. Like, Mitrab playing Game 1 is really big for them. They are good. There's no doubt about that. And they have scores and they have unity. I mean, they play against each other.
Just about to say that, man. Like, you can't overstate that. And as far as, like, especially in the NBA, they all like playing with each other. They've taken Brunson off the ball. Like, he's obviously their closer still, but they just play with a level of freeness that is unique in the NBA circles, quite frankly. And they're fun to watch when it's not your team getting handled by them,
For sure. Yeah, Mitch hurt his finger. It looks like he'll play Game 1, though. The Jared McCain, I mean, man, if the OKC didn't have him, this series, I think, looks completely different. They needed that secondary guy to be able to score with the ball in his hand and get his own. They kind of lacked that. OKC did, well, especially when they lost Jalen Williams with the injury. So that's, a mid-season.
You know what's crazy, too? And you might disagree with this. I'm interested to hear your take. I said I think OKC wins this series. They're at home, Game 7. I think San Antonio's already better than them. Like, I would take San Antonio going forward over OKC personally.
I would, probably because of Wemby. I mean, I think he's the best player in the game. And I mean, Castle's a monster. Harper is a phenomenal rookie. But yeah,
Wemby Harper. It's those three: Harper, Castle, and obviously Wemby.
Yeah, I mean, Wemby just takes up the whole paint. Like, you just can't. You drive, you can't get a layup. You have to alter your shot. You have to pass it out. Like, that one guy just changes everything, which we've hardly really seen in the past. So I mean, I'm pumped for it, though, no doubt. I know it's a baseball show. We waited to the end. Matt and I talked a lot of basketball throughout the year, though. Showdown's been fun. So, yeah, prizes are great. Prizes are still good in baseball, though, so we would love to have you. You can get all those sports, NBA, MLB, MMA, NASCAR, NHL, and PGA, all for $49, usually $99. You get the whole month, Discord and SaberSim. Also, if you want cheaper to check us out, join the nation. $19 for 5 days gets you all of our content as well. Final thoughts before we get on out of here, Matt?
Not fun slate. Getting me excited how much KC Sabres giving me. So we'll see if that lasts.
I like it. You can check out the slate plan up on the site from our guy Matt. His cores up there, cash cores as well. MLB slate plan. Got the stack rankings, hitter rankings, pitcher rankings, projections, ownership, and the stone as well. That'll do it for us. Appreciate everyone hanging out. For Matt, I'm Titletown. Be safe. Good luck. Peace.